Hello and welcome to the Covert Nerd Podcast. Thank you for listening. I appreciate the time that you give me. Today we sit down with Tim at Rainbow Comics again. I had talked to him in the past about Transformers. So you can go to covertnerd.net after you listen to this episode and check out the previous episode if you haven't done that already. Today we talked about the Star Wars prequels and the love-hate relationship that we have with these movies. So let's sit back and relax and nerd it up with Tim at Rainbow Comics about Star Wars. But today we're going to get passionate about Star Wars, specifically the prequels.
Episodes 1, 2, and 3.
Yes. And it was kind of funny when I came in the store. You had mentioned that you really liked the prequels, and I had just seen a little blurb on Twitter or something about how the prequels has a little bit of a resurgence in popularity in the last few years. So maybe you've seen something like that or heard something like that.
What seems to be the prevailing theory, I guess, is the because you and I are roughly the same age. Yeah. I'm sorry to call you out.
No, that's fine. I'm a little bit older.
It's fine. It's fine. I'm no spring chicken. A lot of what we're seeing now is people who had their formative years defined by the prequels are now coming into their own and establishing their own points of view on media and establishing what caused them to fall in love with Star Wars, which is different than you or I. People who just now, let's say, are entering their 20s or even their late teens they'll have a different view on, say, Jar Jar Binks than you or I do, or they have a completely different outtake on CG versus practical effects based on their upbringing and their exposure to media, and it's really, really interesting.
Sure, the age gap or age range, I would say, people that are, say, 25 to maybe, say, 35, because the first one came out in 99, so which was last week was the 20th anniversary.
Yes.
And so you had kids back then that were, say, maybe 5 years old, 6 years old, 7 years old that went to it.
Oh, sure.
That's their Star Wars.
Absolutely. And there's a real harsh point of view, I think, from some of the old guard as far as what is or is not Star Wars. And with the prequels, and especially with the newer spin-offs and the sequels, and we've got the Rise of Skywalker coming right around the corner as of the time of our recording, the definition of what Star Wars can be outshines what Star Wars should be, again, based on what I would consider the old guard, the people who grew up on the original trilogy and then the expanded universe novels before the whole idea of a Star Wars movie was kind of taken for granted.
Sure. And you had, let's start with the Phantom Menace.
Sure.
Kind of work our way up a little bit.
All right.
But that one came out in 99, like we said.
99, yes.
And did you see that in the theaters?
I did. The only Star Wars movie that I have not seen in the theater is Empire Strikes Back. I've not seen any version of The Empire Strikes Back in the theater. Fun story. I'm going to go ahead and put myself on the age map right now. When I was in high school, my first period was U.S. history, I believe it was, and there was a really big deal made because the trailer had come out online, and my teacher at the time, I don't remember his name, I apologize, but no disrespect to teachers, but he was really excited because we were going to be able to see the trailer in our classroom, so he hooked his computer up to the overhead projector, and he basically projected onto the screen what was the size of like a thumbnail. And he pulled the projector back as far as he possibly could to have, I'd say, not even 20 inches of picture on the screen. And we all pushed our desks up as close as we could to watch the trailer. This is the first time any of us had heard Duel of the Fates. Yes. It was the first time any of us had heard Duel of the Fates. Seeing Darth Maul and the double-bladed lightsaber. This is in high school in, Lincoln, Nebraska, while we're just little kids. We've never seen streaming video before, let alone Star Wars, let alone new Star Wars.
This is dial-up, kids.
Yeah, this was like it was mind-blowing. So just to kind of set the stage, and so the hype was real.
Oh yes.
And this is like right again. I'm in high school. I have just discovered the VHS for Star Wars. This is, man, it was 99. Were the special editions 98?
I think they might have been 97.
97, okay.
Well, by the last one, I think it was 96, maybe 95, 96, 97. I'm not 100%
Maybe so.
sure.
I'm not 100%. Yeah, that I did see, because I saw New Hope and I saw Jedi. Didn't see Empire, but I can't remember if that was. I feel like that was prequels. But so I'm ripe age to like really be into Star Wars. So the fact that there was a new Star Wars after no Star Wars was super insane. So I did go to see Phantom Menace. It's a little shaky in my brain. I don't think I went like opening night or anything, but I did see it. And one of the things that sticks in my brain to this day is the laughter I heard for Jar Jar Binks, because the hate and the vitriol for Jar Jar didn't come out until we all collectively decided we didn't like Jar Jar Binks. But if nobody had asked you, if nobody had put any kind of a stigma on him, the poop joke landed.
Yes.
The poop joke landed. The whole outsider landed, and it was almost like the popularity of Avatar. Right, when Avatar came out, everybody absolutely loved it until we all just unanimously decided we didn't love it anymore. And I kind of feel like the Star Wars Episode 1 was the first time I saw that in play from like a fan perspective, because I was like, oh yeah, Jar Jar Binks, he was stupid and funny and whatever, and people were like, no, he's a racist caricature. And you're like, wait, he's a what?
Yeah.
And I hadn't
I never put that in our head. We're
and
like,
why should I? I'm just I'm a teenager in Lincoln,
Yeah.
Nebraska. I'm not digging into it.
he's the comedy relief of the movie.
It was comic relief. It was leaning it's a little heavy-handed, but was it a horrible thing to hate? No.
And you get back to the hype. I agree. The hype for that, because 16 years of no Star Wars movie in theaters that way.
No, absolutely.
A new one anyway. Was huge. I remember same thing. I pulled up the trailer on dial-up.
Yeah.
It took forever to load.
For
But
sure.
you're just like, oh my gosh. The dual-sided lightsaber, the Duel of Fates music. John Williams still did the score.
Regardless of what you think personally about the Star Wars prequels, Duel of the Fates is the greatest thing to come out of that movie.
Yeah, the score was just insane.
Oh, it's so good.
It's so good.
It's so fantastically good. But yeah, so Episode 1, from the point of view of a seasoned veteran that I was as a teenager, it blew my mind, and it sincerely did. Like when they went underwater and saw the Gungan city, blew my mind. When they're in Naboo and they're having that huge lightsaber duel, best lightsaber duel up on screen till that point.
I agree. I mean, Empire Strikes Back, the lightsaber scene was fantastic, but this was
in Empire
really good.
and in Jedi, a lot of it is in shadow, and a lot of it is kind of left to your imagination. This time we're seeing them do it, and it was amazing. And there's something to be said for that. And now, looking back on it, you think of Episode 1, you think of all the politics, and you think of this, that, and the other thing, and its flaws are very, very adamant, and I'll get to its flaws in a minute. I'm not sitting here saying that the prequels are the greatest thing since sliced bread, because they're not. But my whole point, and you had asked me what I wanted to talk about, and after we talked about Transformers, which I could talk about Transformers again if you want, but the one thing I really wanted to talk about is the Star Wars prequels, specifically Episode 1. Nothing against Episodes 2 or 3, but I think Episode 1 is easily the most misunderstood, in my professional opinion. First thing that jumped to my mind is I'd like to defend the Star Wars prequels.
Yeah. Which really caught my eye, or caught my ear. I'm like, that's an interesting take. So yes, I want to give Tim the opportunity to talk about the prequels and how they're not as bad as everybody thinks they are.
They're not. They really, really aren't. So basically, that's what we're looking at with the rose-colored glasses that were on opening weekend, or not even opening weekend, but the opening couple of weeks after Phantom Menace came out.
'Cause there was lines. I remember reading lines that people had gotten in line months and months
For
prior.
sure. Absolutely. It was ridiculous. And I don't know if you would see that now, especially with like assigned seats and stuff. Like I bought for my Endgame tickets.
Yeah.
I went online immediately, bought my seats, so like I knew where I was going to be sitting.
That's a good point. You probably won't
need.
see that anymore, or rarely anyway.
Rarely. I mean, I'm sure with specific theaters or something, I'm sure there will be times where that happens. I mean, here at my comic book store, Rainbow Comics in Lincoln, Nebraska, we have lines out for special events.
Yeah.
So I imagine that we won't see them go away completely, but I don't think we're going to see anything near what we saw for episodes 1, 2, and 3 specifically.
Camping out for months on end.
Yeah. Absolutely. But anyway, there was there was a really positive reaction to Star Wars, specifically The Phantom Menace, when it came out. But that did, as people let it kind of settle in their brains, as again, the old guard quickly took up umbrage with a few of the things in The Phantom Menace, and it quickly became a running gag that it's a terrible movie, that it spits in the face of everything that Star Wars is, and that it's a pale representation of the potential that Star Wars could be. And that's kind of what I'd like to dissect, if you don't mind.
Yes, please.
I don't know if that was a sloppy transition or not, but because I am the king of making it up. So recently, and I'd say within the last 3 to 6 months, I did a rewatch of Episode 1, Phantom Menace, specifically with a critical eye. I have 2 film degrees. I know I said that on the last podcast, but just if people didn't hear it,
not everybody's heard it.
This isn't me trying to brag. I'm just kind of putting my bona fides out there. So I have a bachelor's in film. I have a master's in screenwriting. I kind of understand on a rudimentary level structure and what makes a story work. Phantom Menace, long story short, doesn't work narratively. It's broken. And I think I watch Red Letter Media on YouTube, and one of the running gags they have is you didn't notice it, but your brain did. And I think that's what happened with the Phantom Menace. Is a lot of people were like, it didn't work. Why didn't it work?
Yes.
The big number one reason why the Phantom Menace kind of failed and didn't necessarily work is there's no central character. There's not one person through whose eyes we view the story. And there are other movies that are like that, but those are generally ensemble pieces. I would argue like Magnolia or something like that. That movie is definitely, it's multiple vignettes from different points of view that all tie together to tell a single narrative. And that's not unheard of. It's not even unheard of in Star Wars. Up until this point, it kind of was. But in this specific movie, The Phantom Menace, if you break it down into chunks, all of those chunks are fine and functional. If you want to look at the battle for Naboo in the beginning with the with the blockade, that works. You have Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon. Who knew we were going to give a crap about Obi-Wan's master, by the way?
Yeah, good point.
And Liam Neeson nailed it. He
did.
Again, it's irrefutable. He did a great job. But you look at that opening, it's great. You look at Obi-Wan not going with Qui-Gon on Tatooine is one of the biggest sins of that movie. Because as soon as you leave Obi-Wan on that ship, he's no longer involved in that story.
Good point.
And as soon as you take him out, that's one of our point of view characters gone. So now, as far as we know, Qui-Gon's the main character. Spoiler alert, Qui-Gon dies before the end of the movie.
Oops.
And when he's taken out, that means he's not the main character. Obi-Wan's not the main character. He spends a good chunk of the second act on a ship.
On a ship, yeah.
Anakin's not the main character. He didn't show up till the second act.
Yeah.
Padme, Amidala, whatever you want to call her, she's not a main character because she weaves in and out of the story, and her character's never defined. But the pod race works. The
pod race, yep.
The politics work. The individual set pieces work. There's no through line. So the fact that we don't have a main character really was a detriment to that story. If we would have just had Obi-Wan go with him, because we had other people on the ship that could have served that purpose. If we had Obi-Wan as a point of view character, I really feel like it would have tied that movie together a little bit sharply. Have Qui-Gon maybe fade in the back.
Okay.
Have Obi-Wan be your point of view character, and then by the time we get to episode 4, the original release, the original movie, when we see Obi-Wan as this wise mentor who knows Tatooine and he knows all this other things, it would have really informed our point of view of his character existing there. And That's just one of the things that
So
I
you could have
feel
even had Obi-Wan go with Qui-Gon, but be more of a background character. So you wouldn't have had to give him a lot of lines. Or
No, but just to have him exist
Okay.
and have him matter,
Okay.
would have gone a long way.
Okay, good
So
point.
I think that's really one of the biggest things. The biggest critique you will hear about Episode 1 specifically is CGI.
Yes, that's a huge one.
It's very, very big. George Lucas was really playing with CGI because of the aforementioned special editions. For people who don't know, Star Wars wasn't a household name until George Lucas decided to re-release the original movies, and he did that, I believe, in a way to kind of prime audiences
Yes.
for this new movie.
You're exactly right.
One of the things he found out is with CGI, he could achieve goals that he wanted to as a young filmmaker that he couldn't see before. Like, he wanted to have Mos Eisley be bustling. He wanted to have a more full world, and he felt like his vision wasn't realized. Fans loved it. Fans didn't want anything to change. But George, as a filmmaker, and he totally has every right to do what he did, he wanted to change it and utilize technology to enhance his vision. Through that, what we ended up seeing in Episode 1, and more so in Episodes 2 and 3, is a heavy reliance on computer graphics, because he was able to dictate what he wanted. And to this day, every time we get Blu-ray releases, things like that, there's tiny little tweaks and different things that have been adjusted or enhanced or removed. Like the Ewoks blink now, which is super weird.
Oh yeah, that's right.
But just little tiny things like that. And so Episode 1 was, I want to say, don't quote me on this. If I'm wrong, you guys can at me. I'm at MOTHEE on Twitter. Please tell me I'm wrong. But I believe The Phantom Menace was the first movie that was shot almost 100% on digital.
Yes, I think it might have been 100%.
Again, I don't want to. I can't speak with any authority right now. Wikipedia is on my computer. My computer is over there. But I believe it was the first movie to. If it wasn't shot 100% digitally, it was real close.
Yes.
Like really close. And the reason he did that was so he could. And he is George Lucas. The reason he did that was to be able to go back and utilize whatever, if we're looking at 2019, back in 1999, use whatever present day technology is to enhance the visuals. And so Star Wars could always be an evolving visual medium. The problem is when it came out, it's very dated. It didn't,
Yes. It doesn't age well.
It does age well.
Okay.
The problem is it looked dated out the gate. So with his vision, we can make it look like whatever a modern movie at the time ought to look like, but that doesn't change the fact that it didn't feel accessible, and it felt like a betrayal of the visual language that was established in the original 3 movies. Is that a valid criticism? Yes. Is that a reason to hate the movies? No. And that's one of my main points, I suppose, speaking today. And it's not like anybody came out of the woodwork and was like, "Tim, what do you think of Star Wars?"
Sure.
I don't want to just like come out of the woods swinging and being like, "Here's why everybody's wrong." But
I suppose a lot of movies that are made now in 10, 20 years will have the same issue that use a lot of CGI. In the Michael Bay Transformers movies, for one thing.
Be careful, Lee.
I'm just saying that technology-wise, it's going to look dated in 20 years. Or
Sure.
feel dated.
Well, and I would also say because the Phantom Menace did what it did, gave us the ability to appreciate it. So when JJ comes back and he's like, "Hey, we're gonna bring back the first new Star Wars sequel since Return of the Jedi, which was The Force Awakens," one of his selling points is we're gonna have actual sets. We're gonna use practical effects. Who cares unless we didn't have those things? And so does the fact that retroactively it being CG, it being mostly CG, does that make those better retroactively? Again, no.
Sure.
No, it doesn't. I guess my argument would be the visuals don't make Star Wars. It's not practical. Do I prefer practical over CG? Sometimes.
Yeah.
Sometimes I do. In Star Wars, I feel like it's more warranted. But that has brought up a lot of I had somebody come in just the other day who told me they don't care to see any comic book movies because comic book movies rely on computer graphics, and computer graphics just aren't the same as practical effects. And I was like, well, I mean, yeah, but I guess you're not going to go see you're not going to go see a Pixar movie then, I guess.
Yeah, good point. Toy Story is all. And you were talking about Endgame. I mean, you wouldn't have, well, I said we wouldn't have, but it'd be difficult to have Avengers Endgame without the CGI.
For sure. And I think CG's gotten a bad rap specifically because of things like The Phantom Menace or things like Sin City 2 or, things where it's the same thing where when 3D was a bigger craze, the idea of having something post-converted in 3D versus actually being shot in 3D was kind of a dirty word. You're like, oh, it was post-converted. You don't want to see that. And this might just be me because I was in film school at the time. James Cameron, you may have heard of him. He's only made
a little movie called Aliens and Avatar and Terminator 2.
Like that. Yeah, the Terminator franchise. He actually has a company that very specifically worked on post-conversion. And so if you look at things that he's post-converted, they're absolutely gorgeous. And it got to the point where post-conversion 3D became better, on par, if not better, than native shot 3D. And it was easier to do that. You didn't have a loud rig, so you could have 3D scenes real close up. It's the same reason you don't see like IMAX dramas, because those things are loud. But because we took time and learned the technology and found a way to make that work and make it invisible, post-conversion no longer became a dirty word. Now we're at a place in film again where 3D has kind of become more passé. It's not the selling point it used to be. I'm a huge fan of 3D. I love it. But it's not selling anymore like it was. So we're seeing that as kind of a fade. But my point, and I do have one, is as far as it goes with CG, we've come to a point now, especially in things like Endgame and things like even with like John Wick or Detective Pikachu, because I'm definitely dating this podcast. We're seeing CG get to a point finally where you can look at a CG character and not feel that uncanny valley. You're not like, oh, I'm looking at a cartoon that's in a real world. You're starting to feel that. Thanks to George Lucas saying, you know what, I'm going to take the biggest idea we could possibly have and just completely do something else with it. I believe because he started a trend, because of the steps he took, we've made it so our expectations of what CG can or could possibly be needs to match with our expectation of narrative and our expectation of what we want to see. And I honestly believe that we could get a cut of the Phantom Menace, updating the visuals to modern day standards because it was all shot on green screens and minimal sets. It's very possible that we could see a modern update on the Phantom Menace.
I was just going to ask you that. I was like, since it's all digital, we could get an updated version so that it doesn't look quite so clunky.
You could, but then we come into one of the cardinal sins of the special editions. So a lot of people hate on George Lucas for the special editions because they didn't meet his standard, but the fans loved it. So George, again, and I stand by what I said, George absolutely was within his rights to futz with it as he sees fit.
Sure.
The biggest sin I think George Lucas committed is that he didn't leave those original versions readily available.
Yes. But Disney should have those, I would assume.
They didn't until this year.
When they got Fox.
When they got Fox.
Yes.
Fox had the rights to specifically A New Hope. But now that merger's done, Disney has that back in their wheelhouse, and I would not be surprised in a post Rise of Skywalker if we wouldn't see a re-release of the original versions.
With Blu-rays and streaming now, there's no reason why you can't go buy a disc that has the original theatrical on it, the special edition, and then everything else, or whatever you want.
Well, and here I'm going to go nerdy real quick, so brace yourself, because this is
a covert nerd podcast.
Is just about to happen. Well, they announced that after the Rise of Skywalker, we're going to have a 3-year gap before we get the next movie, which is confirmed to be from Benioff and Weiss. And them coming off of Game of Thrones, take all the time you need.
I heard that they were doing 3, but I didn't hear that.
They are confirmed to have the first movie out the gate after this 3-year hiatus will be the Benioff and Weiss, and then it's projected to be every 2 years, which seems really like a pretty big gap. We'd get a Benioff and Weiss, and then what's his name, Ryan Johnson, and then in 2 years we get Benioff and Weiss, and 2 years we get Ryan Johnson and Disney Plus and this and that and the other thing. But we're going to have 3 years where we don't have a theatrically released Star Wars movie. We will have Disney Plus, so we'll have The Mandalorian, we'll have the final season of Clone Wars, which we'll get to in the future, and we'll have a whole bunch of other things. I think that is a prime time for Disney to be like, hey, while you're waiting, here's the original cuts of the original movies, so now you can enjoy the entire saga and see the original movies from not necessarily the way they were intended, but the way they were originally released.
Yeah, because then you pacify the originalist.
Yep. And there will be one thing. This is just going to be tangent the podcast. I have all of the Star Wars movies on Blu-ray, and watching the original, watching A New Hope on Blu-ray, it's gorgeous. It is an absolutely gorgeous film. If you go in and clean that up, give me the original cut. It's in Skywalker Ranch. Like it's going to be in okay condition. But you clean that up, you back that up on a 4K conversion, it's going to look pristine. It's going to look real pretty.
Disney's got the money to do it. And then maybe when they do that as well, since we're talking about Episode 1, maybe they'll do a CGI update on Episode 1. Because then you're about 25 years out from
It would be really cool. It'd be really cool to see that. I honestly, it's completely plausible.
Or you just leave. Or again, you can have two versions. You can have the original and...
I don't think we will see an overhaul. I don't think it's going to happen because of the historical backlash with redoing those other ones. If it does happen, it'll be another 25 years.
Another question then, since we're talking about CGI... You probably see films, and does Phantom Menace do this, where they rely too heavily on the storytelling with the CGI? Because there's some films that kind of is the movie, is the high-end CGI.
No, for sure.
But does Phantom Menace do
it's a
that?
terrible title. Let's get this out. Let's get this out of the way. The Phantom Menace is a terrible title. It makes no sense. I'm hard pressed. I can tell you everything as far as Star Wars is concerned, with the exception of The Rise of Skywalker, which I haven't seen yet. But I can tell you what the title for everything else means. I cannot tell you what the Phantom Menace is, unless it's like, is it Palpatine?
It's Palpatine, yeah.
Is it?
Yeah. We don't. He's the bad guy.
But at no point is it established that he's the Phantom Menace, and nobody uses the term Phantom. Nobody even uses the word menace.
It's true. They never really they show the Emperor. Well, not the Emperor, but the Sith
Palpatine,
Lord. But they don't.
Well, and I don't, and please don't get me wrong. I don't want Obi-Wan to like run up to Qui-Gon and be like, oh, I'm glad we got to deal with that Phantom Menace. Like, I don't want that at all.
Title drop.
But the idea is A New Hope. I don't need somebody telling me that this is a new hope for the galaxy. I don't need that. I don't need to know that, the clones are attacking. oh, the Sith are taking their revenge, the Jedi's returning, the Empire is striking back. Like, I get that. The Force Awakens, it's been dormant for a while. We have, Luke Skywalker is the last Jedi. Like, that all makes sense. I don't walk away from the Phantom Menace being like, I guess it's Pod Race Academy. Like,
Pod racing school.
Yeah, it is. It's Wizard. But no, I do think that CG, and that's one of the problems, narratively speaking. Not only do we not have a main character, we have a spectacle has taken a front seat and plot has taken a back seat. Pod Race works. Pod Race is great. Pod Race is also 15 minutes long.
It is a long race.
It's real long. They use Force speed the only time on screen at the very beginning of the Phantom Menace, just to show that they could. Obi-Wan could have used it at the very end because we set it up in the beginning. If you set something up in the first act, it ought to pay off in the third act. But since this movie doesn't follow a traditional act structure by any means, it doesn't pay off. Like, I was watching at the end there, like, he used Force speed. Once that opens up, he's going to use Force speed, block Darth Maul, and save Qui-Gon, or at least get to Darth Maul and prevent
Faster.
Qui-Gon.
Because he could have went through the little door things.
Absolutely could have, based on the rules that you established in this movie, and he didn't do that. Yeah, and it's here. It's neither here nor there, but it goes with what I'm saying. Like, I'm not saying this is a perfect movie.
No,
not by
but
any stretch.
You
of the
just had so much, and I agree. People really hate on it, but when at that time and even now, like I said, 16 years between Return of the Jedi and Phantom Menace. So I was just happy we finally got another Star Wars movie.
Well, I don't think that it was ever even conceived that we would ever get another movie. And this goes back to when I was in high school. We're talking early 2000s, late 90s, early 2000s. It was generally accepted that movies came in threes. And even before, like 20 years before that was completely unheard of. But trilogies was kind of how it was. And then when trilogies were done, then that's just kind of, okay, well, the movies are finished. We won't get any more movies. And the idea that Star Wars was 4, 5, and 6 kind of stoked a creative fire in the fan base where people were like, oh, but what were 1, 2, and 3? What comes after 6? And that's where they have the expanded universe, and here's what our idea of what could possibly happen. And the fandom was really relatively small. Like the Star Wars fans are very passionate and very into what they're into. And if you go to a Star Wars themed convention or Comic-Con or something like that, you're going to see a large group of people. But that group of people who love Star Wars very passionately makes up a real small percentage of the movie-going community.
You're right.
And so when Disney bought Star Wars and they said, we're going to jettison the expanded universe and it's no longer canon, people took it real personal. Oh, yeah. But when you're making a movie, you can't expect that movie to make millions upon millions of dollars when everybody who goes to see that movie has to read 30 books in order to understand what the state is. You can't just be like, well, Chewbacca's dead, Luke was married to Mara Jade, there was this, that, and the other thing. There were 3 solos, but one of them's dead now, and the other one is this one, and then here's this other thing over here. Yeah,
nobody's going to do that.
There's too much.
Not enough people are going to do that.
Well, there are people who would absolutely
but not
do
enough
that.
to handle a $200 million budget to pay for a $200 million budget.
No, for sure. My favorite thing that's come out of the loss of the expanded, and I say loss, it's not gone.
It's all there.
It's still there. But the removal of the expanded universe from continuity has opened up a whole new in continuity expanded universe. So everything that's coming out from Marvel, all of the novels that are coming out, if it doesn't have legends on it, it counts. And
the prequels are still canon.
Prequels are still canon. Clone Wars are canon. all of this stuff is canon, and Star Wars has turned into this thing that I love so completely. I'm losing my train of thought. I apologize.
No,
but
that's okay.
But yeah, you guys think I love Transformers? I do, but Transformers is like my secret love. Star Wars is my
your
lady.
side girlfriend.
Oh yeah, I have a Star Wars Transformer that's like Millennium Falcon, and it breaks in half, and one half is Han, the other half is Chewie, and it's so good.
Have they? This is totally again.
No.
We're chasing a rabbit here again. Have they ever done a Star Wars Transformers crossover?
They have in the toys.
Okay, but not in comics.
Not in comics. Not in other media. Not in any official capacity.
That'll probably happen at some. Well, no, because it's two different properties.
IDW works with Marvel.
That's true. Okay. So they might.
IDW is actually publishing Marvel books out of continuity.
Yes. So they might.
It very well could happen.
I'd like to see Luke Skywalker versus Megatron.
They did a Transformers Avengers crossover.
That's true.
That was some hot garbage.
Whole nother episode.
But no, for sure.
Let's move maybe to Attack of the Clones.
Sure.
It came out in 2002.
2002.
Yeah, so we're again.
I was in the Marine Corps in 2002.
Okay. When did you see that, or tell us a little bit of back history on when you saw that?
That gets a little hazy. Things were. I don't know if you know this, but there was an attack on America in 2001.
Yes. Yeah.
I don't know if you'd heard about this. So my time in the Marine Corps was real hectic. I know for a fact that I had bought the video game, and I
For
know
which system? PlayStation
gosh.
or
it was definitely PlayStation.
PlayStation.
Definitely PlayStation.
It'll be PlayStation 2 then, probably.
Yep. PlayStation 2 was the first thing I bought with my first check from the Marine Corps.
Oh, sweet.
But no, I remember buying that. I don't remember trailers, but I did see it on base. Here's the thing about Episode 2. I love it. Episode 2, again, feel free, Mothee on Twitter. That's me. Feel free to send me all your hate. It's totally
all
fine.
your prequel hate.
I'm willing to have a discussion with you guys. It's super cool. Or come into the store and see me. Rainbow Comics, Lincoln, Nebraska. Come say hi. I don't hate Episode 2. Episode 2 gets the bulk of the hate, and I was very surprised to find that out, because in my brain, the most flawed is Phantom Menace. Most people really do not like Episode 2, and I figured out why. Okay. Because I'm smart. It's the romance. When Johnny Layperson or even Star Wars fans think about Episode 2, they think about the horrible romance between Hayden Christensen and Natalie Portman, who were fine actors in their own rights. Natalie Portman is in a whole other class to Hayden Christensen, and I apologize to Hayden Christensen, who I know is one of your biggest fans. So I'm so sorry, Hayden. Please come visit me at my store in Lincoln, Nebraska.
You can rant at him in person.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll give you some free stuff, man. Come on by.
If you're listening, come on in.
Yeah, absolutely, man. We have the sand. It's rough, of course. It gets everywhere. I don't like sand, blah, blah, blah. Natalie Portman is too good of an actress for George Lucas's dialogue. It's just true. And that's what everybody thinks of. In general, that's what people think of when they think of Episode 2. When I think of Episode 2, I think of that opening. It pans the wrong way, but I don't care. I think of that opening that's on Coruscant when Amidala is attacked by the bounty hunter, and Anakin jumps out, and they have this giant chase scene that I still think looks fantastic. It's got such high energy. You've got a John Williams score. He's jumping from car to car. He's making ridiculous, silly mistakes. And I'm like, I kind of want to go. I want to go home right now and watch Episode 2 because I really, really like it. But I think of that opening thing, which is one of my favorite Star Wars openings of all time. I also remember the clone facility and being fascinated with the idea of the clone troopers, which feeds into my love of the Clone Wars series, which, again, we'll get to that some other time. No, my love for Clone Wars and Rebels can't be overstated. But I also, as far as Attack of the Clones, I think of that final battle on Geonosis in that arena, and we have those weird bug monsters, and there's, they're tied to poles, and then suddenly out of nowhere here comes the cavalry led by Mace Windu and Yoda, and there's lightsabers.
All the Jedis.
It's like the first and maybe the only time we've seen that kind of a battle scope in Star Wars. And it kind of gets me excited for what Benioff and Weiss could possibly have planned, because if they bring their Game of Thrones sensibilities, and if the rumors are true and they're setting their stuff in the Old Republic, we could see grand battles with, Sith versus Jedi. This is me fanning out. This is not based on any official source, but because of the battle at the end of episode 2, I really get super jazzed at what the physical manifestation of good versus evil in a black and white fantasy sci-fi world could possibly be. I love that fight. I absolutely love it. But
in the arena you're talking about.
In the arena, yeah.
Because you got like 100 Jedi going at it.
Yeah, and Jedi are fallible. Like, it's Jedi fall in that. Jango Fett gets his head cut off.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of a detective movie because Obi-Wan is trying to figure out who authorized his clones.
Who authorized it? Sifo Dyas. Who's Sifo Dyas?
Yeah.
There's an audiobook that just came out. It's on Audible. But they did just release like a Count Dooku book that shows how he found Asajj Ventress and what his connection to the Jedi Order was, and who Sifo Dyas was, and he was actually really close friends with Sifo Dyas. And it's like the stuff I've wanted to know since, when did you say, 2002?
2002.
It's 2019.
Nobody explained it.
17 people are driving now that weren't alive when I was wondering who Sifo Dyas is.
Yeah, because they never explain it.
And now we're finding out, and it's nuts. It's so good.
I love those little kind of, they take a little niche name like that and then they just expand it into a whole thing.
And one of the things that I remember having a lot of conversations about, you might be surprised to find out there's not a lot of Star Wars talk in the Marine Corps.
Shock.
Yeah, especially in the infantry. It might be different now. It's been a little bit since I've been in, but in 2001 in the infantry, there's not a lot of Star Wars talk. But one of the things I remember talking to people about is who is Sifo Dyas, and we really put a lot of thought into what that could be. Was Sifo Dyas Qui-Gon by any chance? Was it something that he didn't want to tell the Jedi Council about? Was it possible that he knew that we were going to have to take steps outside of the Jedi Code to possibly combat this upcoming evil? And it was, it was such a cool thing, and it kind of reminded me, recently I was reminded of it with Endgame, and people speculating, well, I guess, what if Captain Marvel and Thanos, and then what if this, and then they have a time stone, and then they have a reality stone, but what if we really didn't see that, and what if Vision, and it was kind of the same. That's kind of how we were feeling with episode 2, and the episode 2 ended, and all we knew was that the Clone Wars were finally here. And the Clone Wars had been in the lexicon of Star Wars since the original movie.
Since The New Hope, yep.
Because Princess Leia's name drop in it. And so we finally got to this point where, regardless of the overall feelings of episode 1, and this is speaking as somebody who's just seeing episode 2, we're like, oh my gosh, we're going to see it. We're going to see the thing that they've been talking about since 1977. It's going to be huge. And so we kind of built up in our brains.
He kind of took just what I said. Let's take this little Clone Wars phrase and we're going to expand on it.
Yeah, and they didn't have to do that.
They didn't have to.
And I don't know. I don't want. I can't speak for George Lucas, clearly. But I don't know that was ever anything other than just some reference. He's like, oh, you served for my father in the Clone Wars. And it's a terrible title, Clone Wars. It was a single war. But
good point.
But that's a whole other thing. Star Wars, yes, because there's multiple wars within this tapestry. Clone Wars is a clone war. But episode 2 stoked creativity, and it stoked the love that Star Wars fans had. And over time, that's been lost because people are just like, oh, that's the prequel, too much CG, bad romance.
You had Darth Vader, Anakin going nuts on the Sand People, kind of starting to see his dark side a little bit. What did you think about those scenes?
I love it.
Okay.
I love it. It feels rushed. And again, this goes back to one of my criticisms for the prequels is I don't think they should have been directed by George Lucas. George Lucas, some of his best work is when he farms out his ideas to other people.
Empire Strikes Back.
Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi, but I still love the original Star Wars.
I know.
No, for sure.
Anyway, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Indiana Jones.
Oh,
Indiana
yeah.
Jones.
Yeah, good point.
Great idea. Let Steven Spielberg do it.
It's a great concept.
No, for sure. And George Lucas, wellspring of ideas. Great producer, fantastic creator. But I think in this instance, I really feel like under the hands of someone else, we could have seen a more gradual fall for Anakin. In episode 1, having him be 10 is wrong. He should have been older. We should have had Hayden Christensen play Anakin in episode 1. We should have seen him be angry at his situation.
Have him be like 13 or 14.
Yeah, give me, instead of giving me a 10-year gap, give me a 3-year gap. Give me a 4-year gap between episodes 1 and 2, and show me his potential for evil, which we don't have in episode 1. No. He's a naive little kid who doesn't understand how terrible the world is. He finds out he's being taken from his mother. He's like, oh, well, I guess you can't come with me. He needs to be pissed. He needs to be angry. Like, I trusted you. You're taking me away from this. All I need is this woman in my life. And because of you, and deflecting and showing that potential for evil. Without that potential for evil in episode 1, when he snaps in episode 2, we understand it, like, because they messed with his mother. But as a catalyst, that's kind of weak.
Okay. It's too abrupt. I see what you mean.
Yeah. In episode 3, he's just like, you got to go kill bad guys. Or, no, excuse me. In episode 3, Palpatine is like, you got to go kill these children. And he's like, I guess I got to go kill these children.
To save Padme. I got to do this.
I guess that's what I got to do. And there's no progression.
It's too choppy almost.
It's too choppy. It's like please stop me if I ought not to do this. In the final season of Game of Thrones, Khaleesi, Dany, we know that she's going to be bad, but the problem is she had spent 7 seasons building us onto her side, which is smart. It's a super smart thing. I'm not anti this final season of Game of Thrones. Again, at MOTHEE on Twitter, and you can come see me at Rainbow Comics in Lincoln, Nebraska. I didn't hate this last season of Game of Thrones, but what ended up happening is when Jon Snow discovers that what her plans are, as an audience, we get to see her as evil for the first time. That was brought to abruptly.
Okay. So very
similarly to how Darth Vader, who we know Anakin Skywalker's Vader, and it was too on the nose. It was just too much like, oh, well, he's evil. His eyes are yellow. He's going to go kill kids. But if that was established early in episode 1, that, he's a good kid. He can use the Force. He's got all this potential. But if his anger was clouding his judgment, and we use that as an excuse rather than him being too old, just be like, look, we can't train him because he's too obsessed with his anger, and anger leads you to the dark side. And if we train him how to use these powers, that's going to put him on a path we can't pull him back from. So then when he goes back to Tatooine, he's already pissed that he couldn't take his mom with him. And again, I'm building my own fan theory here, but he's already angry with that. He's got underlying anger issues. And then he finds out that his mom's been kidnapped and killed. That's it. He's completely snapped.
Yeah.
Now that he's got that, and he's taken lives outside of a war zone, which that's a whole other topic, but he's in cold blood has killed these people. Then give him a reason in episode 3 that he needs to kill these specific kids. And I don't know what that is because I'm not a good writer.
He also has in episode 2, you have the angst of he's in love with Padme, but he can't tell anybody.
Absolutely.
So he's got that.
No, for sure. And again, they played that whiny.
Yeah.
And they could have played it more towards the rage.
Yeah.
Because
why is the Jedi holding me back?
Instead of being like, I am more powerful, just be like, I am more powerful. Like, I can do this. And the fact that they will not let me have this thing.
I don't have to follow the rules.
Exactly. Like, why should I? I'm powerful. I'm more powerful
I'm the
than
chosen
Obi-Wan.
one.
Exactly. There's potential there. And I believe under the hand of somebody else, we could have hit that potential,
and they just didn't capitalize on that.
Exactly. So again, not bad, just there's flaws. But I do think if you were to go back and rewatch episode 1 watch episode 1 with the expectation of trying to appreciate it in pieces. If you go back to episode 2, look at episode 2 understanding the rage that Anakin doesn't know how to communicate. Because of nothing else, if you look at his whining and you understand he's experiencing a thing that he's told very explicitly to repress and suppress and not express. Wow, I did that completely on purpose. He's not sure how to handle these emotions, and the one person he trusts to express himself to is Padme. And we've all been to this place, and again, I'm in my late 30s. We've all been to this point from my perspective where you have to just talk to that one person and you're like, all right, I'm just going to whine for a minute and it's going to come out. I'm going to sound like a child, but I'm going to need you to just let me do it.
Yeah.
And once you get it out, you're fine.
Yes.
And so I can empathize, totally feel what Anakin's going through if I put that in perspective. But the fact that I have to bring that to the movie is a failing on the movie's part.
Yeah, because if you've never experienced that, you wouldn't be able to do it.
For sure. And then all you see is just a whiny Anakin.
Good
It doesn't
point.
like sand. It's rough, it's coarse, it gets everywhere.
Last question here on episode 2. Once you saw episode 2, and you've seen, obviously, episode 1 at the time, which one did you like better at the time?
Episode 2.
Episode 2.
Episode
okay,
2.
So it's getting better.
Yeah,
which
for sure.
brings us into episode 3.
Episode 3. I'll try
Revenge of the Sith.
I'll try to go as quickly as I can.
That's okay.
I'm taking so much of your time.
No, you're fine. We got episode 3 came out in 2005, so we've got 3 years in between.
Oh my gosh!
Let's do a flashback.
Okay, so do you know what month that came out in 2005?
I don't.
Okay.
No.
I
would assume it was in the spring because they all came out in the spring.
Yeah, I got out of the Marine Corps in August of 2005.
Okay.
And so I was, for the end of 2004, I was in Iraq. And so I came back knowing that is one of the things when I was in Iraq, I was like, there's episode 3 is coming and I need to see it. Please do not let me die. And I'm not, I promise you, I'm not being disrespectful for my brothers and sisters who gave their lives. None of that. I promise you. But I'd be remiss to tell you like that the thought crossed my brain where like, I'm not going to know how this story ends because I legitimately felt like I was going to die a couple times. So no, please, cut that out if you need to cut that out.
That's fine. No,
I don't want to come across as disrespectful. I did do my time. I served in the war. I was in the infantry, all that stuff. But the thought sincerely crossed my brain that I may not know how this
to see it.
It's very real. So when I came back to the States, I was like, oh, Star Wars. And so I was really, really excited to see it. Now, my initial reaction to episode 3 remains the same. Episode 3, and I've been saying this since I saw it in theaters. Episode 3 is the movie everybody wanted episode 1 to be.
Oh, okay. That's a good perspective.
You wanted to see Anakin Skywalker, but you wanted to see him become Darth Vader. You wanted to go to the movie, see him meet Obi-Wan, see him go bad, see them come to clashes. And I honestly believe everything that episode 3 did correctly, which I would argue is more correct than the other two.
Okay.
From a storytelling standpoint, from a Star Wars aesthetic standpoint.
You're saying the story flowed a little bit better?
Yeah.
A little smoother?
It conformed a little bit more to what I would say the old guard would consider more of what Star Wars ought to feel like. And I can't help but wonder if that maybe was on purpose, where we started so far away from it. And narratively speaking, by the time we get closer and closer to episode 4, we're starting to see the world become what we're expecting it to be. Maybe that was a failed experiment, but I can appreciate it. And maybe I'm reading too much into it as a hoity-toity film guy. But so what? I like Star Wars. Surprise. Episode 3, we see it starts with the end of the Clone Wars. So we're seeing this awesome battle. And if you want to recreate that battle, here at Rainbow Comics in Lincoln, Nebraska, we have the newest set of X-Wing, the tabletop game X-Wing. And the newest stuff is like Obi-Wan's Jedi Starfighter and Anakin's Starfighter and Grievous's ship. And it's so cool. But it's really, really fun. But I love that opening battle. It's a little corny with the little droids on the wings, and they're like knocking stuff off.
Yeah,
it's fun.
Yes, yeah.
It's fun. It's cartoony. It's ridiculous, and I love it.
And that's where Obi-Wan says, "You'll be the death of me someday."
Yeah, absolutely. And it's true. We know it. It's whatever. It's a little too on the nose. It's a little too fan servicey. But you tell me when you saw that in the theater, you didn't giggle and clap a little bit.
Totally did.
Yeah. Now you look at it, you're like, oh, come on. At the moment, we're talking about for that first time you ever saw it, you loved it. And I defy you to tell me you didn't.
It was a good battle scene.
It
not
was
gonna lie.
so much fun. And that was, and we're looking at 2005 versus 99.
So 6 years.
6 years, and look at how that looks versus anything in episode 1, and it's mind-blowing. And the acting was a little bit stilted. Ewan McGregor did not give his greatest performance, but I'm still into it. When we see Anakin get manipulated by Palpatine to cut off Dooku's head, I was just like, oh, we're going there. Going there now. I love Grievous. I shouldn't love Grievous. He's not established. He's very poorly put into the world.
Yes.
And he just, I love General Grievous.
I know, I do too. I remember seeing him on the Clone Wars, the little mini episodes that they did on Cartoon Network.
Yes.
Where they had him there first before they had him in the movie. I was like, ooh, this guy, I like this guy. I wish they wouldn't have killed him off.
Yeah. Well, but they did such a good job.
I know. But then you move into, you see him cut off General Grievous's, or not General,
Count Dooku.
Dooku's head. Mm-hmm. And then we get later on when he manipulates him into, kills off Mace Windu.
Does he?
Well,
so we just gave each other quizzical looks.
Yes.
It's really good for audio.
Did he die?
Did he die? Yeah, he died.
Yeah.
But what if he didn't?
What if he didn't? I think, didn't they explore that was it a book?
Not officially. It
Yeah,
has not officially been explored, but there is because of what you'd mentioned at the beginning of the show with the resurgence of the popularity of the prequels, people are like, well, he's Samuel L. Jackson and he's Mace Windu and he's awesome.
Yeah.
And what we saw was him get electrocuted and thrown out a window.
Yes.
We've seen Jedi survive a lot worse than that.
Or did a ship go by and he popped into that?
There's infinite possibilities, and that's very possible something that we could see explored in a comic or a
because we did
novel.
See Darth Maul come back.
We did see, oh my gosh.
Oh, sorry, I shouldn't have.
Don't get me started.
Don't get started on Clone Wars.
Don't get me started.
Anyway, back to Anakin killing Mace Windu, supposedly.
Well, did he? I don't know. Would you say he killed him?
I guess that's true. Well, he cut his hand off,
Palpatine,
I guess. Did he cut off both hands or one hand? I can't remember.
I don't know. The limbs were lost.
Yeah.
Lives were forfeit. Palpatine secured his place as evil, and with that, I guess with that action, he was, I would say, probably being complicit in the death of Mace Windu is kind of the birth of Vader.
Yeah, that's when he kneels before him.
That's when he right.
Gives him his, yes,
yeah, that's so good.
Your best Emperor impression.
No, dude, I have a good Palpatine. Don't test me. But at that point, that's where it becomes. You're evil, sure, but even in Star Wars, evil is nuanced. And so there he's like, oh, why don't you go kill some kids? And he's like, all right, that seems reasonable. Like that's
kind of the whole premise of when at that scene, he says, we need to take out the Jedi. They're relentless. Once we take them out, then we're going to have peace. So his solution to bring peace is to wipe out all the opposition.
Yeah, but that's a lot like saying, well, in Batman versus Superman, Bruce never expected Clark to be a real human, and Clark never saw eye to eye with Bruce. And so when they said Martha, they were each like, oh, this is interesting. Yeah, it works on paper, but the execution is so
just
poor.
Doesn't.
Like, I get it. I know what they're trying to accomplish. I know what they're trying to display visually, but it's kind of too little too late, which goes back to what I said before. Establish some anger issues. Give me a reason to believe that even though I don't want this to happen, give me a reason to believe that Daenerys is going to blow up King's Landing. You know, give me a reason where I can be like, oh, well, that makes sense.
Sure.
I see Anakin being whiny and not taking orders and being like, well, I don't think we need to kill the little kids. I think that we could probably try to do this. And why wouldn't we try to help them? And that to me feels more like
But
Anakin.
did they have to have him kill all the kids just to say, look, like you said, he cut off Dooku's head at the beginning, like, oh, we're going there.
Yeah.
And then now we're like, whoa, he's killing little kids even.
I equate being complicit in Windu's death with cutting off Dooku's head. We don't have a second step. We don't have a dissent. We have, okay, he's willing to cross a line, and then you got, oh, well, I guess we crossed the line and I didn't see it. Because you don't just go from righting a wrong to murdering children. That's a real hard.
I see what you mean. It's too big of a gap.
Yeah,
you're taking out Dooku because look, he's killed lots of people. He cut off my arm.
It would almost make more sense for him to kill Dooku, slaughter the Sand People, and then going to kill kids, because you have a de-escalation of
that's a good
threat.
point. Yeah,
where there's a reason for him to execute Dooku, whether or not it's
cut off
something.
my arm.
Yeah, well, and you're a war criminal.
Well, that's that too. Yeah.
And why is it so upsetting that he kills Dooku versus killing somebody else in the middle of battle? And there's some really cool morality questions in there.
Sure.
But yeah, ultimately, I understand why you have to have Anakin kill the kids. I think it was just sloppy. But yeah, moving on from that, we have
the fight scenes.
oh my gosh,
the Yoda versus the Emperor, and then Anakin versus Obi-Wan.
Say what you want about CG Yoda and his lightsaber. You either love it or you hate it. And there is no in between. There's nobody who's like, well, I guess it was okay. Yeah, like it is probably the most divisive thing about Episode 3. I love it. I love it too. I loved it much.
He's spinning the little thing and the seat, the senator seat things.
Well, and one of the weird things it reminds me of, and forgive me again, this is going to date me a little bit, and it's I'm from the Midwest, so this is a real big thing in the Midwest. If you ever saw like Reverend Billy Graham on TV, right, you would see him back towards the end of his life. He'd have a cane and he'd walk real rickety up to the stage, and then he'd get to the podium, give his sermon like he was 40, 50 years younger, just with this weird energy that you can't quantify. And I'm not making a religious statement or anything that. It's you can look this up on YouTube. But he would have this fire and this energy and this weird youthfulness to this old man, and then as he's getting off the stage, he needs help down. He's got his cane, and he's just walking away real slowly and real rickety. And
exactly right.
That's immediately what I thought when I saw Yoda with his lightsaber. Yeah. Like, he's old, and he's not afraid of being old, but when he needs to, he'll use the Force to project him to accomplish his goals.
Exactly.
So
yeah, no, I love those. Both those scenes are just fantastic.
Oh yeah,
both fights.
Oh, absolutely.
And you see then Anakin blowing up at Obi-Wan, so he kind of lets him.
Do you want to know? Do you want to know what the worst one? There are two terrible lines in Star Wars, and they both come in this sequence.
Okay.
One of them, and I know I'm not alone. Everybody knows what I'm about to say. Obi-Wan is upset at Anakin, and he yells at him, only Sith deal in absolutes. I don't know if you know the word only. Only is an absolute. And so I'm like, what are you trying to say about yourself there, Obi-Wan?
Tell me when people say there are no absolutes. Well, that's a pretty absolute statement, saying there are no absolutes.
Are you sure? Absolutely. Yeah.
Good point.
But no, just Obi-Wan saying only a Sith deals in absolutes. You're like, oh gosh, all right.
Okay,
and
George.
It's just the grammar police, Obi-Wan.
What was the second line?
The second one goes back to what I was saying earlier about Natalie Portman. Natalie Portman, Padme, in the scene at the very end when she realizes that Anakin has gone full Vader.
Yep.
She's bawling, and you can see this emotion in her eyes. And Natalie Portman is a great actress, and what she needed to say was nothing, because everything in her performance brought out the words that George Lucas, the writer and director, made her say, which was the equivalent to Anakin talking about how coarse sand was in episode 2. And this one, she says,
The coarse sand, I love that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's real bad. But at the end of episode 3, she realizes that Vader is Vader. And she's like, Anakin, you're going down a path I can't follow.
Yeah.
You're breaking my heart. Natalie Portman doesn't have to say that.
She didn't need to say any of that.
At no point did she need to utter anything like that terrible dialogue.
Yeah.
Because I know, like, very clearly, she's looking at him, understanding that he's going down a path she
All
can't
she
follow.
needed to do is keep crying and start to take steps back and just, I can't go there. That would have
Absolutely.
visually told us.
No, for sure. And that's, oh, man, that's my biggest problems. Like, the Obi-Wan line is cringe. It's not terrible. It's not unforgivable.
Just grammatically,
it's grammatically stupid.
You're exactly right. She could have just, she didn't have to say anything.
Yeah, like I've said things that are dumb and grammatically incorrect in the heat of a moment. That's absolutely fine. It's forgivable.
Just keep listening to this podcast. You'll see both of us probably say,
No, this is like my 5th take. I'm doing wonderful.
It's 3 a.m. We're still trying to do it. Just kidding.
Wait, are we still talking about episode 1? No. Grammar faux pas are forgivable.
Yeah.
Bad performance is not. And in this case, I blame the director because the actress has the ability, and we've seen it in other performances, like the entirety of Black Swan, right? Yeah. She doesn't have to speak. She can tell us everything she needs to just through her expressions. She doesn't even have to cry. She can just be processing that information. And because, again, she's on a different level than Hayden Christensen. Hayden, come say hi. Rainbow Comics, Lincoln, Nebraska. I'll give you some free things. But Natalie Portman can do that. She just can do that. And that's another one of those cardinal sins that George Lucas did, is not allow Natalie Portman, who by 2005 was Natalie Portman.
She was very well known.
Ultimately.
Even my wife, who's not a huge Star Wars fan, that's the one line. She's like, that is so cheesy.
It doesn't work. It takes you. It does what no movie dialogue should ever do, and it takes you out of the moment. You're like, oh, why did she say that?
Do you think if you took that line out, how much higher do you think?
Infinitely.
Okay.
Infinitely. I couldn't. All I can tell you is that it will be better.
Okay.
I promise you it will be better. It's impossible for it to not be better. That is the biggest anchor on that specific part of the prequels. That movie. Like if I know it's coming, you just again, I can forgive the only a Sith deals in absolutes. It's fine, passionate, whatever. You say something dumb. But in this case, it's not in her character. It's not necessary. It's poor writing. It's poor filmmaking. It's my least favorite part of the prequels.
What about the fight between Obi-Wan and Anakin at the end? What did you think about those final few scenes when he gets his legs cut off and gets burned? And
I like.
You think that ended well?
I like the body mutilation. If I'm being honest.
Did we get to where Vader needed all that stuff well enough, you think?
I think so. I think it was seeing the suit needed to be more than an add-on at the end. It needed to have a dramatic drive. I think the fight with Obi-Wan needed to happen the way it did.
Yeah.
I think Obi-Wan never wanted to kill Anakin. I don't think he wanted.
I think they established that pretty well, in my opinion.
Sure. And he was like, I'm going to do everything I can to make sure that we get out of here. I can't bring myself to kill you, which is kind of the cardinal sin that Anakin perpetuates throughout everything, is his attachments. The only attachment we really ever see Obi-Wan exhibit in the films is to Anakin. Like he has an attachment to Qui-Gon as his master, but he's able to let go of Qui-Gon and focus on his mission and do what he needs to do.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, because remember him and Yoda are talking. He's like, I don't think I can go take on Anakin.
Yeah.
I can't kill him.
He can't do it because he's got that attachment, and it's the attachments that Anakin couldn't break, that were rooted in his emotions, that were more dark side emotions that couldn't be shaken, that magnified everything. So it's very interesting. Again, I'm probably reading more into it. That it's very interesting that Obi-Wan's biggest downfall really is not killing Anakin, because if he killed Anakin right there, we don't have
Good point.
We don't have, well, I mean, we'd have like Ventress maybe, but we don't have Darth Vader anymore.
And he was the one that killed the Emperor, so
Yeah.
he actually.
Yeah, so, and then it comes into morality
the
questions
whole
or whatever.
thing, yeah.
But, you know, it is interesting, though, that that Obi-Wan's hubris, I guess, is what allowed Vader to persist. And it's that same, the inverse of that is what caused Vader to become a thing in the first place. And this is why I love Star Wars. It's because what I'm saying might be just me talking out of the corner of my mouth, you know, and what I'm saying is probably just a load of hooey. I put no stock in my points of view. All I do is love Star Wars. If we have this same conversation tomorrow, I might say my points will all remain the same, but my takeaway from it might be completely different. And the best part about fiction is that that's completely allowed.
Exactly.
It's absolutely allowed. It's encouraged. Fiction is great.
Yes.
Star Wars is great. Comics are great. Transformers are great. I love...
And Clone Wars.
Oh, don't get me
Sorry,
started.
that fits in the Star Wars.
Why you
I
gotta
know,
do
sorry.
that? No, it's so mean.
Well, let's rank
Sure.
episode 1, 2, and 3.
Episodes 1,
What
2,
do
and
you
3.
think?
Oh my gosh.
Best to
2, 3,
least
1.
favorite.
2, 3, 1.
3, and 1.
Yeah, and again, it's
So 2 is still
Two,
up there. Okay.
I love, man, I'm telling you, I might go home and just watch that opening. Go back, again, so I said go back and watch episode 1 with an eye for taking in the vignettes.
Okay.
Take in everything you can in like 15, 20-minute chunks and let that subside as its own mini movie that makes up the Phantom Menace. Go back and try to just enjoy it for the pieces.
Okay.
In episode 2, go back and watch everything that you hate with Anakin and understand the repressed rage that he's unable to articulate and his
he's got all these
driving
questions in
force.
his mind. He's like, I love this girl and I want to, but I can't. And my mom gets killed. I love
Sure.
her. And yeah.
Sure, absolutely. So that let that inform where you're going in episode 2. In episode 3, just watch the movie and mute it at the end when Padme's going to do her thing. No, episode 3. Again, episode 3, not a perfect movie, but it's much harder for me to pinpoint what I don't like about it. Like, I don't like that we go to Kashyyyk. Chewbacca doesn't need to be in the movie.
I forgot.
We don't need. It's a lot of fan
That's true.
service
You could have cut that out
Completely.
Well, I guess you did have the stormtroopers try to kill Yoda,
but we know he lives. We
Okay,
know he
good
lives.
point, good point.
We don't need to see it. If anything, I'd rather see Yoda get to Dagobah instead of seeing him attacked. Let's see him establish his new home and come to terms with being in exile.
Yeah.
And becoming one with the Force or something like that. Like instead of watching him fail, let's see where he's going to grow and how he's going to overcome this massive obstacle. Man, that's a book I would read.
That would work. How he gets established on Dagobah?
Yeah, well, but just like coming out of the ultimate failure that was the Jedi Order.
Yeah,
because
you're right. Everyone's gone. Well, not everyone, but
where we see him in the Last Jedi is he's like, yeah, we screwed up. We absolutely did it wrong.
Yeah,
and where we see him in Empire, he definitely understands that. But we're looking at 18 years, and he's had 18 years to sit alone and think about what he did, and that to me that would be a great novel. I think
replay his failure over and over again in his mind and not go nuts.
Think about that cave on Dagobah where Luke goes in and confronts his darkest fear. What did Yoda do? And how often did he relive that same thing? And what did he have to do to get past?
Good point.
The mental blocks or the heartbreak. I mean, this is a man. He's 900 years old. He's got a lot of stuff on his plate that probably we couldn't even begin to fathom.
So if Disney's listening, Tim's got a great idea for a novel.
Oh my gosh, I will write
4-issue miniseries.
I will write it right now
for free.
No.
Okay, never mind.
Not for free. You pay me, I'll do it, and you pay me more, I'll do a better job. But oh man,
on all 3. So to wrap it up,
sure.
The basic crux is look. Don't hate on the prequels quite so much. They've got their bad points.
Sure.
the bad line that you were talking about.
for
but
sure.
overall, they tell a real good story, and they fill in a lot of gaps. It's kind of the story of Darth Vader, I guess, essentially.
Oh, absolutely. I would say the original 6 are about Vader. I can't say what these sequels are about because they're not done yet.
Yeah.
As of recording, they're not done yet. But I would say, when was the last time you created something that was perfect?
Good point.
And because of its flaws, we get better material. And because something is subpar, it needs to be embraced. We need to understand what is it about this thing that didn't work so that we can make things in the future that do work.
Sure.
Are they perfect? Absolutely not. Are they bad? Do they quote unquote suck? No. I would say no.
And we got more Star Wars. That's kind of what I
more.
always tell people. Like, yeah, maybe you don't think they're that awesome, but we got more Star Wars.
We got more Star Wars that weren't the droids or Ewoks cartoons. So
Or
let's talk about the droids
or the TV
cartoons.
movie,
No.
the TV movie, Battle for Endor.
Oh yeah, there were two.
Yes, there were
2
Yeah, it
Ewok
was
movies.
Battle for Endor and
The Ewok Adventure.
Ewok. Yeah, okay. I remember that.
So let's go ahead real quick now, and we're going to dissect the Ewok movies.
Gosh, I haven't seen that, and I don't even remember.
No, I'm just kidding.
know.
Lee, I really appreciate your time, man. I appreciate you letting me just ramble about the things I love.
So next time, Clone Wars.
Clone Wars. I would love to talk about Clone Wars if we could. That would make me happy if that's something people are interested in.
Yeah, I'm. This podcast is about nerdy stuff, and we've covered Transformers, Star Wars, and now probably Clone Wars.
Oh man.
So
if you ever want to talk about comic books, I'm your guy.
definitely. Well, why don't we plug? We've already heard your Twitter handle, but let's
Yes.
get some other ways we can get in touch with
Oh
you.
man, the best way to get in touch with me would be to go to Facebook, if you're on Facebook, and look up Rainbow Comics Lincoln, because we're here in Lincoln, Nebraska. We are the second store in a chain. Rainbow Comics in South Dakota is our mother store, sister store, whatever you want to say. They're huge. They're a fantastic store, and I love them to pieces. But we're in Lincoln, Nebraska.
Yeah.
It's me and Taylor. We are the only people who work here. We are huge fans of just about everything, even down to the fact that Taylor sells her own art. You can find
sweet.
that on Facebook
Okay.
too. It's Skelly Boy Art is BOI. You can see some of her cool stuff. She has originals for sale. She does really cool. She does really cool commissions. It's really fun. Ultimately, yeah. If you want to see me, come on down to Rainbow Comics in Lincoln. You can visit our website at rainbowcomicsandcards.com. That'll show you mostly our South Dakota store, but again, find us on Facebook. Find me on Twitter at MOTHEE. Say hi to me. Like, just tell me how wrong I am. I don't care.
Especially Hayden Christensen. Please come down.
Hayden Christensen, come on down. I'll give you something for free. I promise. It won't be like a little dinky thing. Like, I'll give you a statue. Come on down because please.
The offer stands, even if it's 5 years from now.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely.
Still come down.
Hayden, come on, man, hit me up. I saw Factory Girl. I'm into it.
And I'll have at covertnerd.net, I'll have all the links that Tim mentioned. So definitely hit him up, and I appreciate the time, and we'll definitely do it again.
All right, Lee, I look forward to it. Thank you.
It was a lot of fun to sit down with Tim. I enjoyed it a lot. And as you can tell by the episode, he will be back again to talk more Star Wars. Please go to covertnerd.net for all the links mentioned in the episode. And until next time, nerd it up.